There is a compound that kills ceiling mold at the root, not just the surface. The root penetrates deep into porous drywall where bleach cannot reach. Aboriginal Australians have used it for thousands of years. It grows in swamps, and you can grow it in a bucket on your windowsill. The mold remediation industry generates over $1 billion every single year. They do not want you to know about this plant. At the end of this video, you will know exactly how to grow an unlimited supply of the most powerful natural fungicide on Earth in a 5-gallon bucket on your windowsill. Welcome back to Garden Explained with Harry. Click that subscribe button. Now let us begin. Walk into any hardware store today. You will find an entire aisle dedicated to mold removal, bleach bottles, chemical sprays, foggers, and treatments with warning labels covering half the container. The packaging promises complete mold elimination. The advertisements show sparkling white bathrooms. The before and after photos look convincing. But here is what those products will never tell you. In 2023, the global mold remediation service market reached $1,234 million. By 2030, industry analysts project it will exceed $1,516 million. That is not a business built on solving problems permanently. That is a business built on repeat customers. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, approximately 50% of homes in the United States have damp conditions that can lead to mold growth, half of all American homes. Think about your neighbors on both sides. Statistically, one of those 3 houses has a mold problem right now. And here's the detail that should make you angry. Chlorine bleach can only kill surface mold. The mold you see on your ceiling, the black spots spreading across bathroom drywall, the fuzzy patches in your basement corners, that mold has roots, deep roots that extend far below what your eyes can detect. Those roots grow into porous materials like wood and drywall and ceiling tiles. Bleach cannot penetrate those surfaces. When you spray bleach on ceiling mold, the chlorine molecules are too large to follow the fungal threads into the material. They sit on the surface. They kill what they touch. They turn the visible mold white. Your ceiling looks clean. But the water component of the bleach does penetrate. It soaks into the drywall. It reaches deep into the porous material. And what lives deep in that material? The mold roots. You just fed them. You gave them exactly what they needed to grow back stronger. This is not a flaw in the product. This is the product working exactly as designed. Cosmetic fix, temporary results, return customer. 3 weeks later, the black spots reappear. You buy another bottle of bleach. The cycle continues. The industry profits. Now consider the mold remediation professional. They arrive at your home with equipment and expertise. They treat your ceiling. They send you a bill for hundreds or thousands of dollars. And they know, because the science is clear, that bleach-based treatments on porous surfaces do not eliminate mold permanently. They will see you again next year. This business model depends on failure, not obvious failure, gradual failure, the kind of failure that makes you think you did something wrong. Maybe you did not ventilate properly. Maybe your humidity was too high. Maybe you should have called the professional sooner. But the truth is simpler. You used the wrong solution. A solution the entire industry has financial incentive to keep promoting. There is another way. In the swamps of New South Wales, Australia, a tree grows in waterlogged soil. It has papery bark that peels in thin layers. It has narrow leaves that release a sharp medicinal scent when crushed between your fingers. The Bundjalung Aboriginal people have known this tree for thousands of years. Long before European ships appeared on Australian shores, the Bundjalung people used these leaves to treat infections. They would crush the foliage and create mud packs for wounds. They inhaled the vapors to clear respiratory illness. They brewed the leaves into medicinal teas for sore throats and coughs. This knowledge passed through generations, grandmother to mother to daughter, father to son. The tree grew abundantly in the swampy lowlands of the Bundjalung Valley. It asked for nothing in return. It simply provided. In 1770, a British ship arrived on the eastern coast of Australia. The captain was James Cook. His sailors were dying of scurvy. Cook observed the local Aboriginal people using leaves from a particular tree for medicine. He ordered his crew to brew the leaves into a tea-like beverage. The sailors recovered. Cook named it the tea tree, not because it was related to the tea plant, simply because his crew drank it like tea. The name stuck. The tree became Melaleuca alternifolia. For the next 150 years, European colonizers largely ignored Aboriginal medical knowledge. They had their own medicine, their own doctors, their own certainty that they knew better. Then came 1923. A chemist named Arthur Penfold worked in Sydney, Australia. He began systematically testing Australian plants for useful properties. When he analyzed the oil from Melaleuca alternifolia leaves, his instruments showed something remarkable. The oil demonstrated antiseptic properties 11 to 13 times more powerful than carbolic acid, the standard disinfectant of that era. Penfold published his findings. In 1929, he and his colleague F.R. Morrison released a study titled Australian Tea Trees of Economic Value. The research triggered a flurry of scientific interest. Then came World War II. The Australian government recognized the strategic value of this discovery. They classified tea tree oil as an essential war material. Every soldier in the Australian Armed Forces received tea tree oil in their first aid kit. Medics used it to treat wounds, burns, and fungal infections in the tropical Pacific theater. Production could not keep pace with military demand. The Australian government exempted tea tree harvesters from military service. Cutting leaves from these swamp trees became classified as essential war work. The oil saved lives. The science was proven. The applications were documented. Then the war ended, and something interesting happened. Pharmaceutical companies had developed new synthetic antibiotics during the conflict. Penicillin, sulfonamides, patentable molecules that could be manufactured in factories and sold at substantial profit margins. These companies had research budgets, marketing departments, and distribution networks. Tea tree oil had none of these advantages. You cannot patent a tree that grows wild in Australian swamps. You cannot control the supply of leaves that anyone can harvest. You cannot build recurring revenue from a product that actually solves problems permanently. By the 1950s, synthetic antibiotics dominated the market. Tea tree oil faded from Western medical consciousness. Not because it stopped working, but because it stopped being profitable. The tree kept growing in those New South Wales swamps. The Bundjalung people kept using it. The science remained true. But for 50 years, most of the Western world simply forgot. Now let me explain exactly why this oil does what bleach cannot. Tea tree oil contains a compound called terpinen 4-ol. In high-quality oil, this compound makes up 30 to 48% of the total composition. Terpinen 4-ol is highly lipophilic, which means it dissolves in fats and oils and bonds with fatty substances. Fungal cell membranes are made of fatty compounds, lipids, and sterols, the same basic building blocks as the membranes in your own cells. When terpinen 4-ol contacts a mold spore, it does not sit on the surface like bleach. It penetrates. The molecule passes directly through the fungal cell membrane because it is chemically compatible with that membrane structure. Once inside, terpinen 4-ol causes profound structural damage. It disrupts membrane integrity and creates holes in the cell wall. The fungal cell can no longer regulate what enters and what exits. Cellular contents leak out and internal pressure collapses. The mold cell dies. This is not inhibition. This is not cosmetic bleaching. This is cellular destruction. In 2004, researchers published findings in a peer-reviewed journal showing exactly how tea tree oil affects fungal structures. They documented cell wall destruction that occurs first. Then the membrane fatty acid composition changes, then membrane permeability increases dramatically, then cellular material is released as the cell ruptures from within. The mold does not recover from this. The root structure dies, the spores lose viability. Clinical testing confirmed these results across multiple fungal species. In laboratory studies, tea tree oil inhibited growth of all clinical fungal isolates tested, all of them. Now here is the critical difference for your ceiling. When you apply tea tree oil solution to moldy drywall, the oil penetrates the porous material. It follows the same pathways the mold roots took. It reaches fungal cells that no surface treatment could ever touch. And unlike bleach, you do not rinse it off. The residual microscopic layer of tea tree oil remains in the material. It continues releasing antifungal compounds. It creates an inhospitable environment for any surviving spores. It prevents recolonization. One treatment provides ongoing protection. The mold does not come back in 3 weeks. It does not come back in 3 months. This is why the mold remediation industry does not talk about it. A solution that works permanently does not generate repeat business. One small bottle of tea tree oil can treat your entire home. A 2-ounce bottle costs less than $15. Mixed with water in a spray bottle, it provides dozens of applications. But what if you never had to buy another bottle again? The tea tree is not some exotic tropical specimen that requires greenhouse conditions and expert care. It is a survivor, a swamp plant that evolved to thrive in difficult conditions. Irregular water, poor soil, temperature swings, Melaleuca alternifolia grows successfully in USDA plant hardiness zones 9 through 11. That covers Florida, Southern California, the Gulf Coast, and similar climates worldwide. But here is what the garden centers do not advertise. This tree adapts remarkably well to container culture. If you live in Zone 8 or colder, you can grow tea tree in a pot. During summer, your potted tea tree lives outdoors in full sun. It soaks up the warmth. It grows vigorously. When fall temperatures drop toward freezing, you bring the container inside. A sunny window provides enough light. The plant tolerates the dry air of heated homes far better than most tropicals. The aromatic needle-like leaves and white puffy flowers will reward you year after year. The same plant provides medicine that you harvest yourself. Start with a 5-gallon container. Larger is better if you have space, but 5 gallons works well for windowsill culture. Use well-draining potting mix with a slightly acidic pH between 5.5 and 6.5. The standard potting soils sold for azaleas and rhododendrons work perfectly. Drainage is critical. Tea trees evolved in swamps, but those swamps had moving water. Stagnant waterlogged soil in a container causes root rot. Make sure your pot has drainage holes. Add a layer of gravel or broken pottery at the bottom. Water frequently during the growing season. These plants can drink heavily when actively growing, but watch the soil moisture, not the calendar. Stick your finger 2 inches into the potting mix. If it feels dry, water thoroughly until liquid runs from the drainage holes. In winter, reduce watering. The plant slows its growth in response to shorter days and cooler temperatures. Let the soil dry slightly between waterings, not bone dry, but drier than summer conditions. Full sun means full sun, at least 6 hours of direct sunlight daily. More is better. A south-facing window in the northern hemisphere provides ideal exposure. If your winter light is limited, a simple grow light supplementing natural sun keeps the plant healthy until spring. Fertilize lightly during the growing season. A balanced, slow-release fertilizer applied in spring carries the plant through summer. Do not fertilize in fall or winter when growth slows naturally. Tea trees tolerate pruning well. In fact, they respond to trimming by branching more densely. This is excellent news for medicine production. More branches mean more leaves mean more oil. Harvest leaves throughout the growing season. The simple method is the Aboriginal method. Crush fresh leaves between your fingers or with a mortar and pestle. The oil releases immediately. You can smell it. Sharp, medicinal, clean. For ceiling mold treatment, steep crushed leaves in warm water for several hours. Strain the liquid into a spray bottle. This infusion contains the active compounds in water-soluble form, ready for application. For longer storage and stronger concentration, you can make your own oil extract. Fill a jar with fresh leaves. Cover them completely with a carrier oil like olive oil or sweet almond oil. Seal the jar and place it in a warm, sunny location for 2 to 3 weeks. Strain out the plant material. The remaining oil carries concentrated tea tree compounds. One mature container plant provides enough leaf material for years of household use, and the plant propagates easily. Take semi-hardwood cuttings in spring or early summer. Root them in moist, well-draining mix. Within weeks, you have new plants to expand your production or share with neighbors. A single plant becomes 2, 2 become 4, 4 become a permanent supply of the most powerful natural antifungal compound known to science. No recurring purchases, no dependency on supply chains, no supporting an industry built on your repeated failure. The mold remediation service market projects continued growth through 2030. They are counting on your ceiling to keep growing mold. They are counting on bleach to keep failing. They are counting on you never learning what a tree from the New South Wales swamps can actually do. The Bundjalung people knew the truth for thousands of years. Arthur Penfold proved it in a Sydney laboratory in 1923. Australian soldiers carried it into battle. The science is documented in peer-reviewed journals. The mechanism of action is understood down to the cellular level. Yet somehow this information never reaches the bleach aisle at your hardware store. Somehow the mold remediation company never mentions it. Somehow 50% of American homes continue struggling with mold problems that a plant in a bucket could solve. This is not conspiracy. This is economics. Companies fund products they can patent. They market solutions they can sell repeatedly. They build business models on problems that persist. A tree that anyone can grow solves none of their problems. It only solves yours. The tea tree does not care about market projections. It does not care about shareholder returns. It cares about sunlight and water and producing leaves packed with compounds that have protected Australian Aboriginal communities for millennia. The leaves are waiting. The science is settled. The industry hopes you never find out. Grow one. Subscribe and watch the next video to discover more with me.